Hey, people on the internet. This is Chris Jane again with Reef 30A. I'm here with Travis Wilburn, one of the co-owners and co-brokers of Live 30A, repping my Live 30A t-shirt today. We're going to talk about the 30A real estate market and just some of the market dynamics. Just to begin, Trav, if you want to talk about maybe some of the things that you've seen in the market, if you want to give data, if you want to give stories, but let's just have a candid conversation about what's going on in the market and how people can be helped by this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be useful to talk about just the story arc of the 30A market over the last, say, 10 to 15 years
Okay.
to position where we are now. That sounds like a big
Yeah.
topic of conversation, but it might give people some more context instead of one isolated moment in time,
So
which is right now.
let's talk about the long term. So you've lived here for how long?
36 years.
So you've been here a long time.
For sure.
I've lived here for 25 years.
Yes.
So I've been here since 2001,
Yes.
which real estate then, 30A market, it was very, very different.
Yeah.
So if we go back, just say 15 years, we're talking about a very, very different market as well. So
For sure.
let's start there.
Yeah. So, 2010, 2011, 2012.
Yep.
All the way through 2019, which is right before COVID happened.
Right.
COVID was really March of 2020. Those were years where the 30A market on average was climbing at roughly 6% a year. Some years it was down slightly, other years it was up more, but on average 6% a year. And that's what people knew. And then you'd have people come in town and say, man, I wish I would have bought in 2015, 2016, but it's 2019 now. We never did it. We kick ourselves. And then 2020 happened, and that was COVID.
Yep.
And like people just thought the sky was falling, and in a lot of ways it was. It disrupted our entire way of life.
Very much so.
But Florida remained open.
It did.
And so we had this influx of people that came into Florida that had largely undiscovered 30A before. So it was all of a sudden on everybody's radar, and the beaches were open, and real estate here took off like never before. I mean, 30% plus per year gains.
Huge
in
numbers.
the COVID years where people were buying a home and selling it 8 months later for $1 million more than they bought it for. Those are real stories that happened all the time, more than that even. And all of a sudden in roughly March of 2022, they started spiking rates again, and it's like someone turned the spigot off.
Yeah.
And so, here we are in 2026, April, and really rates have been high for 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And so whenever rates really went up in March of 22 and kept going up, sellers were abundant.
Yep.
Lots of homes on the market. Buyers were few because rates were 8%.
Very high.
And nobody, if they could afford it, they didn't want to buy. And they said, well, we'll wait for rates to come back down.
Yeah.
And so really that's been the story of the 30A market up until August of last year in 2025. Mid-year 2025 is when we saw this absorption rate, which is a
talk about the fancy
term.
Yeah, talk about the fancy term that people might need to get some education on.
So absorption rate is really, it's how hot or cold the market is. That's in layman's terms. The higher it goes, the slower the market is. The lower it goes, the hotter the market is. So for context, during COVID, I mean, we got down to under 1 month of inventory.
Correct.
So it was under 1 month. And that's why when these homes hit the market, you'd get multiple offers in hours. And it was just a frenzy. Now we had gotten all the way up to over 16 months worth of inventory in August of 2025.
2025, right.
So, it kept climbing and climbing and climbing as rates went up, and the market was at a standstill on 30A.
Yeah. So August of 2025, we
Yes.
see kind of the market come to it's not a halt. People are still buying property in 2025.
Yes.
But we're at a point in the market where it's a difficult one.
Yes.
And it's maybe been difficult for a little while.
Yes.
So I remember, just to kind of talk about some of the years before that, I remember in 2022, I sold my house personally because I saw the market just go like this. I was like, this is the peak. And that just happened to be in that time where I was able to sell my house. And so, which a lot of people did. They literally made millions of dollars. So many people did in that time from 2020 to 2022.
For sure.
In such a short span. So, 2025, we're seeing a very different market.
Yes. Yeah. I had a guy who bought a house for 2.6 million and the COVID craziness, and sold it for 11 months later for $4 million.
Wow.
And I was like, man, why'd you sell it? And he said, well, where am I going to go make $1 million a year? Like, I can be a college
Right.
football coach or something like that. But
Yep.
where else am I going to do that? So we sold it just like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll call it August of 2025, that absorption rate number that we're talking about had climbed for 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And like you said, things were still selling, but not fast.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden, as much as it went up, it started to go back down the other side of the mountain. And so we saw it go 16, 15, 14, 13, and then all the way down to about 9 months of inventory right now. And just to give people some context, absorption rate, at least in our market, I think it varies depending on your market, but 0 to 4 months they consider a seller's market. This is where the sellers have the advantages. They consider 4 to 6 months a neutral market where neither buyer nor seller has advantages, and then anything over 6 months of inventory, say it's a buyer's market, buyers have more advantages. So we got to 16 months, and then we're coming back down the other side of that mountain where call it 9 months of inventory, and it's been falling nearly every single month since August of 2025. So when buyers reach out and say, hey, is this a good time to buy? Is this the time to buy? The answer is there is a window of opportunity that is open right now that closes.
Right.
It closes little by little every single month as we get these reports, and the absorption rate goes from 16 to 15 to 14 to 13 every month. The window tightens, and it is an opportunistic time to buy right now. Because rates are 6.3% as of the time of this recording. And you still have lots of good inventory, lots of homes to choose from, but the window has historically, since August, closed every single month a little more.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the last 15 years in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. I think it's helpful for listeners to hear some of this, just if they're not familiar with the market and haven't been in it as long as we have. So talk about some of these stories that you've been a part of within some of these windows of time, maybe recent, maybe, one from a couple of years ago, but I think that would be helpful too, to kind of paint a picture.
I can say that, one of the ways that I especially, this is my process, I help people get clarity. And whenever you have a buyer that comes into this ecosystem and they don't really know how to navigate it, we bring clarity to them and I help them understand what exactly they need to buy. And I remember I had this lady walk into an open house not long ago, a year ago or so, and she was very standoffish, kind of skittish. And I said, hey, feel free to make yourself at home, look around, and let me know if I can help you. And then she looked around the house. She went to walk out, and I said, hey, why'd you come in today? What brought you in? And she's like, oh, my goodness, I've been looking at open houses for the last year or so, just popping into them. We live locally. We need to buy a house, and I'm looking for a house. And I said, these are the questions where people haven't fully considered them, but they think they have. And I said, what are the most important things to you? What are the things you absolutely can't live without?
Right.
And you could tell she was thinking about it for the first time, probably, at least in clear terms. And she said, well, it's going to have a lot of storage. She said, we're downsizing. And so we've got a lot of stuff, Christmas trees and all the things. And she said, so I need a garage. I need a ton of storage, at least in the attic. And I said, respectfully, hey, this house doesn't have a garage and it doesn't have any storage in the attic. So like, what are you doing here?
So you have a potential buyer coming to an open house. That is coming to look at a property because she knows she needs to buy a property. She married. She's got kids.
She's married. They have adult children. But
so they're looking for something specific.
Yes.
But she's coming to a house that meets none of her needs.
Exactly. Because she hasn't clearly considered them to be able to articulate them to herself. So she has a framework to walk into a house and vet it against.
Right.
And so what people fall for is just the shiny thing. She saw a new house come on the market. It's human nature. And she's like, oh, I like the tile and I like the finishes. I'll go check it out. But she hasn't actively considered a framework for figuring out if this house works for her. So she needed storage. The punchline is the house had no storage at all. And so I told her, I said, hey, this isn't the house for you based on what you're telling me. Go find another house. And so I'm sure she's out there. She's finding a new house. Hopefully she has. We sold that house in roughly 48 hours to somebody who it worked better for. But the point is, you have to have a very clear and confident process for buyers to establish what they're looking for. And so the best way that we have found to do that, I call it what's and whys. People probably call it different things, but I bring people into my ecosystem. I send them a questionnaire right off the bat, and it's 2 parts. Number 1 is can't live without. These are the things that are absolute deal breakers if they are not in this home. And the second part is nice to haves. And then we go through and we consider what it is and why it's important.
Yep.
Got it. You need a garage. Why? Because you need to park a golf cart, or because you have a lot of Christmas stuff to store.
Right.
So I need to understand what it is, why it's important, the things you absolutely can't live without. And the more clarity we have, the more confident the decision you can make as a buyer.
Yep.
And so I'll take you through that process. And then I tell buyers all the time, this is not a process of selection. This is a process of elimination.
That's right.
We are trying to drop 1,300 homes into the top of a funnel,
Yeah.
weigh it against your criteria,
Yeah.
let it spit out 26 homes at the bottom for you to go drive by those 26 and come back to me and say, all right, I've narrowed it down to these 5.
Right.
And then my personal process is I'm not going to walk into any more than 5 houses in a day because it will confuse you. And whenever you're confused, you lose.
Yep.
And the waters become murky in your mind. So, hey, if we're going to look for a couple days, we might walk in more than 5. But generally speaking, we're not going to walk into more than 5 houses in a day.
That's right.
And if you walk into any one of those and you can eliminate it right off the bat, let's do that.
Yeah.
We're not here to pick the right one. We're here to eliminate everything that is not the one. So we have 1 left standing or maybe 2 left standing.
Yeah. I just, as you're talking, it just reminds me of like the goal of this podcast is we're talking about real estate. We're going to talk about insurance because I've been in insurance for so long.
Yeah.
And we're talking about faith, and we're wanting people to win in these areas. So in real estate, like we're talking about today, having clarity, having these processes that they go through with any agent or with Travis specifically, is having these clarifying questions to get to that place to win is so important. Because, I mean, I know personally people in our office, and you could probably have a list of people of like, they bought a house and they're really unhappy with the house they purchased because they just weren't clear on what they wanted.
Exactly.
And so having this process is super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I think something else that's incredibly important, Russell, the producer here, by the way, is, I think a lot of people, Travis, you kind of touched on it, with a lot of people, when they decide they want a house, they know what they like. Plenty of people aren't strangers to HGTV.
That's right.
I think pretty sure about 100% of people at this point have already seen the property online before they've ever stepped foot in it.
For sure.
But they adopt this mindset that because I want to purchase, I don't want to miss anything. So they go see things that aren't even relevant to them.
Yes.
And what it does is it creates this quiet fatigue inside of them, and it kind of disenfranchises them a little bit. So I think it's so important in our role of bringing clarity, of not only honing in on the clarity of what they want, but also the clarity of what they don't want.
Yes.
You mentioned that this is a process of elimination, not selection.
Yes.
And there's so many times where we'll go schedule those 5, maybe 6 properties if we're pressed for time.
Yes.
And I'm paying more attention to what are they saying, like, oh God, I don't like that.
Right.
So when looking forward, we can kind of clean up what that looks like, or what hits their inbox, what comes in front of them, for even to have a chance to eliminate. So the tighter we can make that cone, the more effective we can be as agents.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Kind of get into some of the numbers. We were talking before we started. There's been $318 million sold just in March of 2026 on 30A.
That's right.
Compared to 60, 70 million last year.
Yeah.
Roughly, something like that.
Yeah.
And so
we're ahead on volume and transactions.
Yep. So also we were talking about before we started, talk about the client that is spending money renting and they're not actually buying. So let's kind of paint and give some color to that, as you were talking about before, of why would they buy if they're asking, hey, should I buy now? Should I buy later?
Yeah.
What should I do?
Yeah. So Chris asked me, off camera, hey, is this a good time for people to buy? Is now a good time? Is it should they buy later? And the answer to that is depends on your goals.
Right.
And it depends on your family lifestyle. I mean, it depends on a ton of things, but if I understand the goal that you have, I can reverse engineer that. And so if you're the family who says, well, we love 30A, this is our spot. We've been coming there for 15 years, maybe longer in some cases, and we love watercolor. Like watercolor is our spot. We spend 10 grand a week to rent a watercolor house. We come twice a year, once in the summer, once in the fall. We just love it. I mean, you spent $20,000 a year for the last 15 years.
It's a lot of money.
That's a significant amount of money, not to mention all the money that you spent while you were here. And these houses rent for only 30 to 35 weeks a year, especially the larger homes.
Right.
So you got 52 weeks in a year. That's a lot of open weeks where you can use these homes for more than just 2 weeks out of the year.
Yep.
So you bring your family closer together. I mean, the connection that you have with your family, you can't put a price on it. And so if that's your goal, it's a wonderful time to buy.
Yeah.
There's less inventory than we've had in the last 4 years, but there's still things to choose from.
Right. Yeah.
It's a really good time, but it depends on your goal. If you're an investor and you just said, I've got to have a house that's $1 million and it returns $100,000 a year, and I needed to cover every single cost, and I want to put 15% down, this isn't your market necessarily. Right. And I would say not a good time for you.
Yep.
But for the majority of our clients, they're the ones who just love 30A. Yeah. They're sold out for it. They love the restaurants. They love that there is such a collection of artisans of their crafts and musicians and restaurateurs and chefs and all the wonderful things that you encounter in the boutique lifestyle of 30A that you can't find in any other drivable location in the Southeast or probably elsewhere.
That's right.
Then, it's a wonderful time.
Yeah.
It hasn't been better in the last 4.5 years.
Yeah, I've told so many people, being insurance and real estate, of I think 2025, and obviously we're outside that window.
Yeah,
I thought 2025 was probably like the tail end of it.
Yeah.
That year was such a good time to invest.
Yeah,
and obviously find the right property, do your due diligence. We'll go through the process and do that, and some people took advantage of it. We're kind of sitting outside of a community right over here called Bellamar, and I've had investors ask of, hey, if I'm looking to buy a property, where should I buy? What should it be? And I've sent them, several lots, and one specifically in this community, and I wish they would have done it. It's sold now, it's gone, and that could have been a great investment for them. But I say that because there's still a lot of opportunity to buy, as you just talked about.
Yes.
There's plenty of homes. There's lots that you can purchase and build and have tons of equity in. So I don't know if you want to talk about that. But
it's like, what's your flavor? Like, this is an opportunity-rich area. Like, I remember I had one client specifically that I just love dearly, and he's been a client for the last 5 years at least. He came here and started investing in 30A during COVID.
Yep.
And on the surface, I said, why are you investing in 30A? And he said, well, I mean, needed something to do. COVID happened.
Yeah. Which,
like, Ohio's closed.
Yeah.
Florida's open.
Yeah.
I need somewhere for my creativity to flow. And whenever I met him and really got a little closer with him, he said, I was depressed in a lot of ways. They shut my business down in Ohio. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't be around people. I love people. I couldn't serve people. And Florida was open. Yeah. So we bought a vacation rental.
Yep.
I realized that they brought in a lot of money. I realized that the most equity you could have was in buying dirt and then building.
That's right.
That's where the majority of the value was created.
Yep.
So I started looking at opportunities like that. And then him and I have assessed probably every available lot on 30A over the last 4 to 5 years and create, massive spreadsheets and massive data sets to figure out what the best opportunities are. But that's his MO.
Correct.
He wants to buy lots, improve them, and then sell them.
Yep.
If you were somebody that just loves 30A and your family comes here, that's a totally different goal. And I think one of the unique characteristics about me and everybody in this office that I know is they're truly world-class. They're masters at listening and understanding the cares of the person that's sitting across the table or across the phone from them that's purchasing a property here, and assessing that so the things that they put in front of them aren't ones that they will look at 2 years from now and say, my gosh, what a terrible decision we made. It just didn't really fit what we were looking for.
Yeah.
We do our absolute best, and we're improving all the time to understand what you're after so that we can pair you with the right property so that it's something that fulfills you for the long term and not just for the short term. Whether
Yeah.
you're a builder developer or you are just a family who loves 30A or vacation rentals is your jam, like whatever it is, I will do my absolute best, and I know you will too, and I know everybody in this office will, to truly listen, truly understand, and truly pair you with the right home for your needs.
Yeah.
So-
Right home, right lot, whatever it might be.
Yes.
I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking. Just sometimes people buy property and they make the wrong decision. Like I have a client, and I say wrong decision, they change their mind, or they are going through a process with family, whatever
Yes.
it might be. It's like, oh, I can't keep this, I want to sell it, whatever it might be.
Yes.
Had a client 6 months ago just purchase a lot in Wild Heron in Panama City Beach. The build time on it's a little too far outside what their family dynamic is, and so he's wanting to list it and sell it, and already have people without even listing it wanting to possibly purchase it. So even if clients do, especially land, I think it's a little bit easier. Price points can be lower. If you make a choice to purchase property, we're going to help you sell it too. So you're not going to have to be stuck with anything. At least from my experience with it, it's an easy transition.
Yeah, there's so much demand on 30A. Like
Yes.
it's become such a hot spot. And so, yeah, I've had plenty of that where seasons change and what you thought you wanted to do is not the thing that fits this season.
Yeah.
And thankfully, when you put a for sale sign, even if it's just dirt, there's so much demand for 30A that as long as you put a fair price tag on it, the odds are really high of it selling.
Yeah.
So, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just driving here today, you look at the water. I mean, it's kind of showing off today. And so, I mean, it's so pretty. And again, draws people here. They want to be here. They want to be on vacation, have fun, and build those relationships with their family and create those memories with them.
Yeah,
it's awesome. You touched a little bit. We'll kind of wrap up. So supply and demand. Anything else that listeners should know, need to know, that's going to be helpful for them?
I would say I believe people truly underestimate how complex real estate transactions can be.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's out of direct quotes from people's mouth that I've heard over the years where, hey, we just really didn't truly understand all the variables and dynamics that we were about to enter into. And I'm grateful we had somebody in our corner to help us navigate that.
Yeah.
And so partner with somebody who understands all those dynamics because it's like a marriage in a lot of ways. You are partnering with that person. They're going to guide you through a process of finding or eliminating a lot of properties to find which one is truly meant for you. But then that's in some ways the beginning of the adventure.
Correct.
Now you're going to negotiate this thing out. You're going to come to terms, and you're going to walk them through what is often a very, very complex transaction process and lead them to a successful closing on the other side of a table with some documents where they can walk in and drop their suitcases. And that sounds really easy, but people get hurt in that process when they're not partnered with people that truly understand it, but are very well-meaning.
Correct.
And so, I mean, I had that happen, a few months ago where on a listing, we had a buyer's agent who came in, brought an offer, and both the buyer and the buyer's agent thought the buyer could exit without penalty because they just didn't fully understand the contract that they presented. And in reality, they lost $150,000 in earnest money because the contract wasn't as they thought it was.
Right.
And so be very discerning whenever you are partnering with an agent on 30A and make sure they truly understand all the variables and dynamics that are at play in these real estate transactions. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weekend warrior who just has a real estate license in their back pocket and doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah. No, that's such good encouragement. I know, Russ, you can speak to that too if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I was talking about this off camera before we started, but being in real estate, we're inherently in a sales industry, and people have this, predisposed notion of what that experience is going to be like. It's kind of like the same kind of guard you have up when you walk onto a car lot, to go buy a new car. You're like, God, please don't walk up to me yet. I'm just looking around. We don't want to have that appeal, but we're battling against that, and I think something that really separates the agents within Live 30A, and I know to the listener, I'm like, of course, we're going to pat ourselves on the back for what we do, but I mean, just as a quick personal testimony, I don't think I'd be in real estate if it weren't for Live 38 Real Estate. Just in my experience with other real estate agents, it's very similar. It's along those same veins. And I think something that we really excel at in this office, and Travis, you kind of spoke to it earlier, is we're not focused on the sales. We're focused on the service. I consider us in the service industry. Yes. And you talk about the relationships that we have with the people we work with. I mean, when we sign buyer brokerage agreements, which is a result of the NAR settlement that happened a few years ago, I write it for a year, and that's not uncommon. And I've had a lot of people say, why is this for a year? It's like, well, because a lot of times, especially working with out-of-state buyers, you're going to be looking at stuff for months. They might not be able to make it down to even see something if they want to see it, for 6 months, something like that. So you're going to be in constant communication with these people. You need to make sure that you're serving them in a way that is not self-serving, but serving them.
Yes.
And you talk about the complexities of the transaction itself, which absolutely, once you even get to that point, I mean, you're just getting started. But even leading up to that, so much goes into understanding the market because, you think a lot of people compare our market to other markets around the country, which you really can't do. This place is so unique. It's such a tiny little spit of land. Honestly, with the intercoastal waterway running right there, technically we're on a big island down here. We are.
Yep.
And you cannot look at our market from that viewpoint. That Highway 90, people don't know that Highway 98 is this huge dividing line. People don't know that 30A is kind of split into east and west, and how Inlet performs differently than Rosemary, which is right next to it, which performs differently than Alice, which is right next to it, and then Seacrest Beach, which is smack dab in the middle, totally different market. So being able to have someone that you work with that can really help explain those dynamics, and not in a way that's overwhelming to you, but in a way that's uplifting and encouraging to you, and empowers you to make confident decisions. I think that's something that the agents in our office really excel at.
Yes, I think so too. For the listener, hopefully what we can do other than obviously giving words is provide data, show note information, provide links, give them information that they can actually take and use. I think that's such a helpful thing, a tool that they can have.
Yeah, my best advice to anyone listening that is kind of stirred up by this conversation is reach out.
Yeah, of
There's
course.
someone that's going to be able to help answer those questions.
Yeah, absolutely reach out. We're obviously here to help. To your point, Russ, we are servant first real estate company. We talk about ministry more than we talk about real estate probably.
Amen.
Obviously this context or this topic of conversation today is a little bit different, but I think also too, we want to talk about, and maybe we can do this the next podcast, talk about the different areas of the beach. To your point, we have the East End, we have the West End, East End, we have Grayton Beach, Seaside, Watercolor kind of in the middle, and all these different dynamics and how they play different roles in the market. And so I think that would be a super fun conversation and just talking about that, because I have a preference. You probably have a preference, and I think it'd be kind of a teaser for folks. So
yes, and I think something else that's worth it, and that we can dig into it in another episode, is, I'm going to kind of backpedal here on what I just said about looking at the market overall is kind of a dangerous thing to do, but something that is beneficial is looking at how the market is performing overall, because we're in an area where development is not ceasing.
Correct.
And we have these major land developers, St. Joe being the biggest of them all, they're not slowing down, and we're seeing buyer confidence come back into the market, but we're also seeing seller confidence come back into the market.
So we've talked a little bit about how to navigate the complexities of purchasing a property. We've talked a little bit about the buyer that, or the potential buyer, they come in vacation here, they're buying or renting in Watercolor, or spending 20 grand every year just to vacation, have fun, all of that. We've talked about the number of sales in the past month, March of 2026 compared to the year before. There's a supply and demand. It's tight supply. There's more demand right now, you would say, as well. And so for the listener that's really wanting to win, they want to actually do something in the market. What else can we provide for them other than what we've talked about? What's something that we could add to kind of wrap up today?
Well, I would say that if you want consistent market data, I mean, I release it every single month on YouTube, right? So you can go to my YouTube page, you can track with it every single month. I talk about the market, I talk about 38 neighborhoods.
There you go.
So that would be a good spot. Follow, any one of us on social media. Follow Live 30A, market report data and blog form is released there all the time. So just enter into the conversation depending on where you are. If you're already into the conversation and you're like, no, now's the time because it's April, it's spring, at least at the time of this recording, and summer's right around the corner, we're ready to get into a home, then reach out directly to us. I'm sure our information will be in the description below this. But just get started.
Yeah. Agreed. I heard someone say this. I forget when it was, but you make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. And so when you purchase real estate, that's actually when you're able to make the investments work and actually have an income from it and win. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a guy who just closed on a lot in Watersound Beach, a month ago, and whenever we identified that lot in particular, we looked at a spreadsheet with 11 other ones on there, and that's the one that panned out the best of all the lots on 30A based on the parameters that we had looked at, price range, et cetera. And he's going to make between $2 to $3 million on that deal by the time he builds a home, improves the land, and then sells it, 2 years from now.
Right.
And so when you say, you make money in real estate on the front end, that's exactly the case with that one. He already, that $2 to $3 million is baked into it because of the price he bought the land for and the improvements he'll make. And you've got a 30A market that is going up and to the right over a long period of time.
Yes.
And it's an emerging market. And so when you think 30A relative to Malibu or, Palm Beach or whatever it is, those are long established markets with tens of millions of dollars sell prices, hundreds of millions in some cases. 30A is a baby market.
Correct.
Rosemary is 1995 roughly.
Yep.
This is a baby market that is just in its infancy and has a long runway ahead.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
I think there's something that we didn't touch on that you just kind of reminded me of, and that's something that people need to understand about our market is that we're also subdivided by, entry-level investment, mid-level investment, and then we have our ultra luxury market.
Yep.
And you're the one who pointed it out last year, actually, right before interest rates dropped. We saw this massive influx of like 6 properties that were north of $16 million go under contract right before the interest rates dropped. Yeah. And it's really, really interesting to see how that's going to develop over the course of time, obviously, and how it's going to continue subdividing the area. And it's only going to create more complexity for the sort of information we're going to have to deliver people. But something else I think is also important to note is timing is very important in our market, depending on the type of buyer you are. So kind of going back to the clarity that people need to be able to hone in on. If your objective is kind of what you want, like, oh, I want to be able to make a return, I want to be able to like cut my losses, and just really quickly, just want to say that net zero on 30A is a win. Most people would agree that net zero on 30A is a win.
Yeah.
For those that are looking for that return, coming into a property before the peak of summer, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Being able to capitalize on bookings that are already, with the property management company, being able to take advantage of whatever tax advantages are there. Those are all things to consider on top of all those, specification-wise, like 2,000 square feet, 4-bedroom, whatever the case may be. There's so many more facets that go into our market. And then the last thing that I think is important to note is this is a want market. This is people think of this place in the same terms that, people think of theme parks. This is escapism. COVID proved that when life became very difficult and everything was flipped on its head, this is where people came to rest and reset. And I think it's so important that people know that that is what the appeal of this market is. So, and I say that to tie into the fact that you can't really compare this market to other markets because at the time of this recording, we are in a officially unofficial war again. And we have rising prices to some degree in
Gas
some things.
prices are up a lot.
And despite that, our graphs are trending up and to the right. And I don't think that's not directly correlated. I think you're going to continue seeing people desire this area to have that sort of connection with their family, with their friends, to be able to leverage these properties for good.
Yeah. I mean, Travis and I have lived here long enough, and I thought the market would be a little bit different than it's turned out to be after 2022, 2023. I thought we were going to see kind of a decline, and a more drastic decline, because I've lived here for so long. I saw the 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 market. Just I saw the things that happened there, and so right now, people still love 30A. They still love to come to the beach. Like, the water's not going to change. The beach color's not going to change. All that's still going to be there.
The protected lands,
The protected
natural
lands.
resources.
I mean, our state parks, our dune lakes. I don't know if people realize this, but our coastal dune lakes are like,
it's like one of 4 places in the world where we have them.
but it's even beyond that. Like, those other places, I think Australia, Oregon, maybe. I forget where these
New
other
Zealand,
ones
I
are.
think.
Maybe New Zealand. Yeah, like you can't paddleboard and swim and do those things like you can here, and I think we have 15 of them.
Yeah.
And so it's such a unique spot that people love. They want peace. They just want to rest, and that's kind of what you talked about a minute ago with your Ohio client. Like, he needed some rest.
Yes.
He needed a space to just relax and be still.
Yes.
So that was massive. We'll end with what do you want to give people for like a forward thinking over the next 12 months, maybe 24 months of, hey, think about these things that are going to be things to actually focus on that are going to be helpful for them to win for their families.
I would say one thing to focus less on first are news headlines.
There you go. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, the news does, you hear the news does far more to terrify than clarify.
Yeah.
And I believe that's true. That's how they make money. That's how they
For sure.
keep that engine roaring forward, is to fearmonger.
Right.
And so when you see those things, if you do, I would partner with somebody or consume somebody's data who is boots on the ground on 30A, who's actually in it, and can say, hey, that's irrelevant in some ways. Maybe it's relevant, but the data actually bears this out.
Correct.
So have a level-headedness about yourself whenever you're entering the real estate market, if that's part of your goal for the next 12 to 24 months, and partner with somebody who's boots on the ground, who has actual data, who is living and breathing 30A real estate, and not just consuming news from a 30,000-foot view without considering local market dynamics.
Yeah.
I would say that is a big one that I see people unfortunately fall to all the time.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I'm with you on that. I think everybody would be with you on that.
Outrage culture is very popular, but it's like outrage of the month. Whereas purchasing a property here is probably something you're going to do for 5, 7, 10 years, and the intangible aspects of that. Obviously, the equity is very important to people, but the intangibles of, again, that escapism, that bonding with family, friends, that time that you can't put a price tag on is going to far outlast whatever the last thing the news told you to be afraid of.
Yes.
Yeah. So other than that, is there a specific price point or home community that, hey, maybe you should keep an eye on this?
I would say that the majority of the negotiating is happening in the
There you go. Yep.
$2 to $4 million range. That's where you see the biggest chops off price, the most people willing to negotiate. So there's opportunity in that. I would say somewhat less so in the ultra luxury, 10 million plus. Those price tags are largely what they are in some cases, because you've got truly unique properties. So if you're in, and the majority of people are in that $1 to $4 million price range, especially 2 to 3, then there's massive opportunity that is beyond just the 3 to 4% discounts that you see on the market summary every month. I mean, you're getting 8 to 10% discounts in some cases because you have people that need to sell homes. if you're looking for discounts or value, would be another way to say it.
Yeah.
Look at builder developer owned properties that have been sitting for a while, where they have fully drawn construction loans and multiple of them, not just one, and they're looking to move them. You'll get significant discounts in those cases. I love new construction. You've got 1 year builder warranties in almost every case, if not every case.
That's right.
Choose the builder well who's on the other side of that, because the warranty's only as good as the builder who's on the other side of it. But partner with
100%.
somebody who's an expert who understands the local market and the local people in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, massive opportunity in the 1 to 4, especially the $2 to $3 million range.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's super helpful, because getting somewhat granular with that is for people that are looking to buy, wanting to buy. Again, they're like, hey, when should I do it? What should I buy? What price range? Obviously, if they're in that, they're going to know.
Yes.
But yeah, that's super helpful. So next podcast, we're gonna talk about different neighborhoods, and I'm stoked about that, just because I love all the different neighborhoods and the construction dynamics of each one. Like we talked about Rosemary, Alice Beach is so unique. The West End is more local, and so we'll talk about that. But thanks for listening to the podcast again. Hope to see you guys soon. Grace and peace.